Hello and welcome to the Luv Doc podcast with hosts Waldo Wachewski and Ophelia Bruschi.
Today, we've got a really unique Luv Doc. We're moving beyond, simple relationship advice. We're diving into a high-stakes philosophical debate. It's about personal ambition, calculated risk, and what happens when that perfect, stable life you've built just suddenly feels like a cage.
And that is our mission today. We were dissecting this fascinating letter sent to the Luv Doc.
Right.
It's from a concerned partner we're just calling the DJ's dude. The core conflict is, it's a classic. His girlfriend, a successful tech worker, wants to drop everything.
And we're talking a six-figure programming job.
Exactly, to chase this unconventional dream of becoming a professional DJ. And she's thinking big, like Dead Mall 5 or Paul Oakenfold level.
Wow.
So we're going to unpack the advice given and really look at that intersection of timing, ambition, and the kind of emotional support that's needed when a partner decides to just fundamentally redefine their life.
Okay, let's get into it. To really understand the gravity of this pivot, we have to start with the baseline. The stability they are thinking about giving up. The stakes here they're astronomical.
They are. It's the absolute pinnacle of the Northwest Austin tech dream. This couple, they've achieved a certain status.
They've made it.
They've made it. They're both highly paid. They work in tech. They have nice cars, a large, comfortable apartment. So this isn't just about quitting a job.
No.
It's about voluntarily dismantling their shared, economic and social security net. When we talk about sacrificing stability, this is what it looks like.
And what makes this whole thing even more complicated is that, according to this isn't some bolt from the blue. He's noticed a clear pattern.
A yearly pattern, right?
Yes, tied to her December birthday and the holidays. She gets into a period of mild depression, and then it's followed by what he calls a sort of big announcement.
And that's crucial context. It tells us two things. First, she regularly goes through this period of, let's call it existential inventory. And second, the scale of these shifts has been escalating.
Exactly. So last year, the big announcement was starting yoga.
Perfectly healthy. A great hobby.
Totally. The year before that, she decided to take up oil painting.
Right, and those classes lasted about 6 months, which resulted in, as the dude puts it, a lot of art cluttering the apartment.
So we see this pattern. She's searching for fulfillment outside of her tech career, but these were, low-risk hobbies.
They were just side quests. They didn't threaten the foundation.
But this year, the scale has completely changed. She's not just signing up for a class.
No.
She intends to hand in her notice at the end of January to become a full-time professional DJ. This is a huge leap.
And it raises the stakes for the listener, the DJ's dude, immensely. His anxiety is all over the letter. He thinks this is, and I'm quoting here, totally unrealistic and doomed to failure.
He's terrified.
Terrified of her wasting her time and money and basically throwing away a good job. He's basically asking the Luv Doc, how do I talk some sense into her before she destroys our future?
And that sets up the perfect pivot because the Luv Doc immediately diffuses some of that financial anxiety.
Right. With the detail the girlfriend finally shared about the planning behind all this. And this is where you see the difference between a hobbyist and an ambitious professional. The dude finds out his girlfriend didn't just buy a DJ setup on a whim.
Which is sitting right there in the spare bedroom next to the old oil paintings.
Exactly. But she also revealed she has been secretly saving money for 2 full years to fund this.
2 years. 2 years of covert financial planning. That just completely changes their risk assessment.
It does.
This isn't a hobby. It's a funded startup. And she only told him now to avoid his pressure, his skepticism, in case she backed out.
Which brings us directly to the timing. And this is where the Luv Doc gives a really sharp psychological analysis. They immediately justify the timing of this big reveal.
Based on the holiday season, right?
Yes, that unique, emotionally fertile context of the holidays. They call it an emotional and often inspirational time, but they get really specific about that mental state in the lull after the big rush.
That weird, low-energy week.
That's it. They focus on what they call the bit of doldrums, between the materialist orgy of Christmas and the hedonistic excesses of New Year's Eve.
It's that week where everything just slows down, the expectations are gone, and you're just left alone with your thoughts and your stuff.
And that sense of anticlimax. The Luv Doc just nails this feeling with an image I think will stick with you.
Oh, the parking lot.
The parking lot, staring catatonically through their windshield at the apocalyptic hellscape of a TJ Maxx parking lot.
It's so specific. You're there to return that, what was it, a $10 orange acrylic sweater.
A V-neck, 2 sizes too small. And the effort it takes to navigate that crowd for such a tiny, meaningless material win. It just feels
Pointless. It's the perfect emotional turning point for a huge life change. It's that moment you realize, okay, chasing the next material thing isn't solving the real problem.
And while the Luv Doc uses let's say, a very blunt term for this period, the holiday taint space, the psychological idea is so clear.
Right.
It's that quiet, vulnerable lull where existential reflection is almost inevitable.
Holy crap! You're psychotically obsessed with the Luv Doc, but can't think of a flashy gauche way to share your obsession with the world? Stop thinking and make a beeline for the Luv Doc's home sweet home on the interwebs, thepleasurecraft.com, where you can find a veritable treasure trove of sick merch that will make even your coolest friends super gel. Honestly, I don't know why you didn't already think of this yourself, but you're welcome. Have fun on the Pleasure Craft. It was made just for you. Let me spell it out for you one more time. www.thepleasurecraft.com.
So her revelation isn't surprising. It's the execution of a plan that matured during this predictable moment.
Okay, so she had the psychological push at the most predictable time, but she also mitigated the financial risk with 2 years of saving. This is so far from just a whim.
Absolutely. Which pivots us from the psychology to the practical side of things, starting with her communication. The Luv Doc really validates her directness here.
With the Brene Brown quote.
Brene Brown says, clarity is kindness, end quote.
Yeah.
They call it a mitzvah
Yeah.
that she was up front instead of, trying to lead a double life.
Okay, wait. I get the clarity is kindness thing, but isn't saving up for 2 years without telling your long-term partner? Isn't that a bit of a breach of trust? Especially in a shared life like this.
That's a highly fair point.
Yeah.
And it's the nuance the dude has to grapple with. The Luv Doc suggests that, the secrecy isn't ideal, but the alternative.
What, trying to do both?
Trying to do both. Pursuing the late-night club scene while holding down a demanding day job and hiding the gigs from him? That would have been way more damaging.
So the kindness is providing clarity before the instability starts.
Exactly. Even if the planning was hidden. It avoids a messy, disastrous surprise later.
That makes sense. The bigger threat wasn't the saving, it was the impossible schedule. And that leads right into the biggest practical hurdle the Luv Doc brings up, the lifestyle collision.
This is the core reality check. You cannot successfully juggle a high-pressure tech job in Austin, which demands focus, early meetings, networking with the heavy schedule of a DJ.
It's the cognitive drain. The DJ job needs you to be awake, charismatic, and active in a loud, dark club until 3 or 4 in the morning.
And the Luv Doc does it plainly. Many have tried, few have succeeded at balancing these two worlds. The sleep schedule is impossible, and the social environments just clash.
Completely?
Your tech friends network over lunch. A DJ networks with club owners and promoters at 2 a.m. You just can't be effective in both of those spaces at the same time.
So her decision to actually quit, which is what's terrifying the dude,
Is actually the only rational way for her to shoot her shot. The Luv Doc frames this as a positive. She's not being grossly unrealistic.
she's being strategic.
She's making a necessary strategic move while she's still young enough and flexible enough to actually do it.
Which completely reframes the dude's role in all this. He can stop being the skeptical accountant checking her spreadsheets.
Because she's already done the financial planning. So the question shifts entirely. If she's paying for her own ambition, what is he supposed to contribute?
Right. We're moving from financial viability to emotional necessity. And this is the real lesson of the Luv Doc. She needs emotional support. The Luv Doc calls it a great way to ensure bonding and intimacy.
She needs validation for the risk, but the Luv Doc provides a critical warning about how that support should look.
The dude's first instinct.
His first instinct to go with her, help load equipment, and give Randy Lotharios the stink eye is explicitly warned against.
Why is that so bad, though? I mean, if she's new to the scene, shouldn't he be there to help or protect her?
Because it fundamentally changes their dynamic into one of surveillance and, honestly, fatigue. The Luv Doc offers a very sharp social observation about that late-night environment.
Which is?
The Luv Doc is incredibly blunt. At 2 in the morning in a cocktail lounge, pretty much any dude who isn't actively engaged in bartending is mad sus, borderline predatory.
Whoa.
They're describing an environment with high emotional and physical risk, and the dude is completely out of his element. He's coming from the sanitized, predictable safety of the Austin tech bubble.
And walking into this chaotic, emotionally charged 2 a.m. atmosphere.
Exactly. His attempt to protect her would just become this impossible job. He'd run himself ragged trying to spurn their advances real or imagined.
And that level of exhaustion and resentment?
It's a relationship killer. His presence would just add stress, not comfort. He'd quickly turn into this exhausted, skeptical auditor of her new life.
That is a huge dose of reality. Okay, so if emotional support is the most important thing, but being her roadie or bodyguard is a terrible idea, what's the specific, actionable final recommendation from the Luv Doc?
It's brilliant in its simplicity. It shifts his focus completely away from financial audits and protective duties and moves it toward participation.
Okay.
If he wants to deepen this relationship, the advice is clear. Learn how to dance to EDM.
Learn how to dance. That's the solution to this massive, life-changing career pivot. It sounds almost absurdly simple.
But there's a deeper meaning. Learning to dance is a commitment to her new world, but on her terms. It's not about checking her bank account or her location. It's about validating her passion and meeting her in her space. It transforms him from being the relationship's anchor of stability, the one resisting the change, into an enthusiastic, if maybe slightly awkward participant.
It changes the dynamic from auditor and auditee to a shared experience. By learning the music, by participating in the joy, he's showing her that this passion she's chasing is legitimate.
And that he prioritizes their connection over their old financial structure.
Absolutely. If we connect this all to the bigger picture, the Luv Doc